Joe Biden plans on spending $3 trillion. Over 1,000 migrant children are being held at the U.S.-Mexico border for longer than 10 days. And Jon Favreau wants Lucasfilm to back off. And I have a lot to say about that. Before we get into our lead story, please take a moment and hit that like button. It really does help me out as far as getting my channel out there to others who have not seen it. Also, if you enjoy my content, please make sure you hit the like button as well as the bell button so that you are notified whenever we upload a video, which is every Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Our lead story of the day comes from our friends over at Blaze Media. It is written by the legend Phil Shiver, and he titles it Biden Planning $3 Trillion in New Spending on Infrastructure, Climate Change, Free Community College, Universal Pre-K. He starts off by saying the Biden administration is reportedly preparing a massive spending package totaling at least $3 trillion aimed at addressing a host of major policy priorities such as jobs, infrastructure, climate change, education, and income inequality. If this doesn't sound like a leftist wish list, I don't know what is. But you have Biden here granting that wish, making it come true with at least a $3 trillion spending package. Phil goes on to say, news of the mammoth package shows the new administration plans to waste little time introducing trillions of dollars in government spending into the economy, as it comes only weeks after a $1.9 trillion coronavirus relief package that was passed by Congress and signed into law. According to the New York Times, the White House may split the effort into two separate bills in order to make it more appealing in Congress, the first proposal likely being a major infrastructure plan funded through tax hikes on corporations and the rich. Now, I have already discussed these tax hikes in a prior video. If that's something you're interested in hearing about, I'll go ahead and leave a card above. But the Biden administration wants to increase the corporate tax from 21% to 28%. And that's just not a good idea to do that right now, or even have that conversation, because we just got done keeping businesses closed down for an entire year. They have liabilities. They have massive losses. You need to give them time to recoup those losses, pay off those liabilities, and just give them time to breathe. But right out of the gate, you want to increase the corporate tax by 7%. That's just, to me, that's crazy. It doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're going to have people shut down for an entire year and now you're talking about taxing them, you're just kind of kicking them while they're down. And not only that, you want to increase the tax rate on individuals making more than $200,000 a year. Some of those are business owners. So not only are you hurting the businesses, but you're also hurting the employer, and that's going to trickle down and end up hurting the employee. So all parties are hurt from these increase in taxes, and it's kind of a bold-faced lie. They're saying that they're going to tax corporations and the rich. Folks, when you're spending $5 trillion, you're not just going after the rich, and you're not just going after big companies. They're going to come for all of us. There's no way that you're going to budget $5 trillion and only get away with taxing corporations and the rich. We would have to be foolish to think that. This is the lingo that the Democrats use, is that, oh, we're just going to come for the rich, we're just going to go for the corporations, and then they start doing some restructuring with the progressive tax rates. Goes back from, back to 25%. Trump moved it down to 22. Maybe it's going to go up to 25, 26, 27. We're going to see. But money does not grow on trees. They got to get money from somewhere. You got to pay for this leftist wish list somehow. But we got Phil going on to say, the second proposal would reportedly focus on other domestic priorities related to students and those left behind in the job market. It would include universal pre-kindergarten, free community college tuition, expanded childcare, and a national paid leave program. To break this down very simple, what you're seeing in real time is the Democratic Party moving far left. They keep saying how the Republican Party has changed so much and because of Trump, all this other stuff, but you're seeing in real time the nationalization of sectors and the Democratic Party supporting it. For example, free community college tuition. Why should I have to pay for an adult's education? That's their decision. I shouldn't have to pay for that. In the same way, I shouldn't have to pay for your child care expenses. I didn't decide to have a child, and if I did, I wouldn't expect anybody else to pay for it. It was my decision. Furthermore, national paid leave program. Why should I have to pay for somebody else's leave? You're deciding to make those decisions and you're expecting somebody else to pay for it. Furthermore, pre-kindergarten. Again, we can have that discussion about the public school system and who should pay for it and who shouldn't. I'm a firm believer if you have a kid, you should pay for your own kid's education. I shouldn't have to pay for that with my own taxpayer dollars. But they're wanting to universally socialize everything here, or at least socialize everything within our nation. And we're already seeing the strive to do that. So you're seeing dramatic moves here by the Democrats to cater to the left, and it's costing us trillions and trillions of dollars. Folks, I beg you just to go look at the debt, and we're taking out debt just to pay off the debt that we have. And not just the debt, but the interest on the debt, we're having to take money out just to pay for that. You're seeing a snowball effect here, and I'm telling you, from an accountant standpoint, this is not good. And I don't mean to seem alarmist, but this type of spending is not sustainable, and nobody, as far as I'm concerned, am I seeing stand up and speak about this stuff on how bad this spending is from Republicans and Democrats. This stuff needs to stop. Somebody needs to stand up to Congress and expect them to create a budget that has a surplus to where we can pay back our debt instead of taking out money to pay off just the interest on our debt. This stuff is nuts, man. And nobody here's talking about it. I don't see Ben Shapiro talking about it. I don't see Steven Crowder talking about it. I don't see any of the right talking about it. And this is probably one of the biggest issues we have going on in our country. We can't keep spending like this. We're all screwed at the end of the day. If we're not screwed, it's definitely our children that are getting screwed. And it's only going to be worse than what it is now if you plan on having somebody that wants to put in these socialist ideas here where you're paying for somebody else's college tuition or their child care. Are you out of your mind? But hey, that's the Democrats. They love spending money. I mean, the Republicans do as well, but the Democrats really love spending your money. And folks, it's only going to get worse from here. Again, if you think this type of spending is only going to be paid for by increasing the corporate tax from 21% to 28%, or only increasing the taxes on those making $200,000 a year, you've been fooled. You've been fooled, and my hope is that I can change that thinking for you. They're going to have to come for all of us. The only way that you're going to be able to get away with saying that you're going to tax corporations and the rich is massively putting us even further in debt. That's the only way this is going to work. So they don't have any solutions on how to pay for this stuff. They just want to cater to the left and destroy our country even further in regards to spending. Well, speaking of Biden and doing things he shouldn't be doing, we have a report here from the Daily Wire. It is written by Emily Zanotti. If you're not a subscriber, please go over and become a member today. But she titles it, "Nearly 1,000 Child Migrants Held More Than 10 Days in Border Detention Facilities." Emily starts the article off by saying an internal document leaked from the Department of Homeland Security shows nearly 1,000 child migrants have been kept in border detention facilities for longer than 10 days. Far longer than the maximum amount of time children are supposed to be housed in Customs and Border Protection custody, which is 72 hours. Axios, which has been reporting on the child migrant crisis, overwhelmingly, the United States-Mexico southern border received the DHS document, which demonstrates not just the children are being kept in CBP custody for longer than legally permissible, but that the crisis is rapidly worsening. The outlet reports that 823 unaccompanied migrant children have been held in Border Patrol custody for over 10 days, more than the fourfold increase over the past week. Now, I don't know if any of you are still on social media like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those other sites, but I remember for years I had to hear how Trump was a Nazi, a racist, for putting children in cages, even though it was really from the Obama administration that they were getting these pictures from. But they posted these pictures on social media for years, and I don't see any of those same people doing the exact same thing right now with Biden. These images were just released where the Biden administration is having them sleep on floors. They got rid of the chain link fences and just put up plastic because that makes a big difference. But I want to know from all of you, and leave me a comment, are you seeing your leftist friends hitting Biden over the head the same way that they did with Trump? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear from all of you because I'm not seeing it. Furthermore, something I found really interesting is it almost seems like people are beholden to whatever the politician is, whether that be Trump or Joe Biden. Whereas I'm coming from kind of very similar to Ben Shapiro, where if somebody does something stupid, regardless if it's on the right or the left, I'm going to call it out. They're politicians. I'm not beholden to them. I don't love them. They're not my family. If you do something stupid, you're going to get called out for it, left or right. I just don't understand the double standard from people from the right and from the left. I just can't wrap my head around it. If they do something stupid, if they're being hypocritical, if they are having a double standard, then we should call it out. And that's kind of one of the great things about me doing the show is I can rewatch my old episodes and look at and go, hey, that was kind of hypocritical. I shouldn't have said that. My thinking should change because I just talk in real time. This stuff isn't scripted. I don't write this stuff down. It's just all free form. It's just free forming, baby. That's all we're doing with it, right? But look, I look back on my episodes and go, hey, maybe that was stupid. Maybe I should apologize for that. Or maybe that was wrong. Or, hey, you know what? That thinking should go in this direction. That doesn't really make sense. That's the benefit of doing this is I learn from my mistakes so that I'm not a hypocrite, so that I don't have that double standard. What is happening here is a clear double standard that the left is constantly doing, and I will go as far to say that the left does way more than the right, and we're probably seeing that effect because the media is on the left, and they're constantly promulgating this double standard, this hypocrisy, and I think really one of the only reasons why we're seeing them cover this so much is because they're not being let access into these facilities. The only reason we have these images is because somebody leaked them, but I just don't understand this beholden to these politicians from the left or the right. It doesn't make sense to me, and I hope anybody that watches this has the same thinking where if somebody does something stupid, we should call them out on it. It is dumb. The Republicans are spending a lot of money. It's dumb. Democrats are spending a lot of money. It's dumb. It shouldn't happen regardless. So it's just, I can't wrap my head around it. I'm going to continue to meditate on it, and let me know what you guys think in the comments about it. And our last news story of the day is regarding Star Wars, specifically Jon Favreau and Lucasfilm. It comes from a site called We Got This Covered. They title it, Jon Favreau reportedly wants Lucasfilm to back off Mandalorian universe and let him handle it. God, wouldn't that be nice? It starts off with saying Disney have already made a hefty profit on their investment since first purchasing Lucasfilm for $4 billion in 2012, making their money back and then some on box office returns alone, never mind the multimedia and the merchandising empire that comes attached to controlling Star Wars, one of the most beloved and recognizable properties in the history of pop culture. As things stand, there appears to be two distinct arms of the mythology in play, with Kathleen Kennedy still overseeing the creation and development of the future films, while Jon Favreau steers the small screen ship on Disney+. That being said, the Iron Man director is only in control of the Mandalorian's pocket of the universe, so he's not directly involved in Obi-Wan Kenobi, Andor, Lando, and the Acolyte, all of which take place in different time periods than Din Djarin's Western-inspired adventures. And forgive me if I misspoke. I'm slurring my words today. Still, there's a lot of work involved in pulling the strings on The Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, and the Rangers of the New Republic. At the same time, even with Dave Filoni's increasing influence behind the scenes and encyclopedic knowledge of Star Wars lore, however, inside Daniel Reichman's, forgive me once again, is claiming that Favreau wants Lucasfilm to step away from his roster of Disney Plus shows and let him handle things, although you get the impression it might not happen. There's a quote here that says, Jon Favreau wants Lucasfilm to back off and let him be full hands-on on this universe. So I agree with Dave Filoni here. I think Lucasfilm, at least the executives at Lucasfilm, should kind of back off and just give Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau free reign in regards to the Mandalorian universe and allow them to expand from there, because what they're creating is storytelling that the Star Wars fandom wants. And when you constantly have executives dipping their hand in things, you're not really going in the direction of the creator so much as you're going in the direction of the executives, and they kind of manipulate things and do things that you don't want as a creator. And I'll give you a prime example, the firing of Gina Carano. That was not something I'm sure Dave Filoni or Jon Favreau was planning on happening, because if they did, they probably would have never kept her in the last season of The Mandalorian. But now you just kind of twisted things and manipulated things in an unnatural way to where now Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are having to scramble and kind of create a story that they probably weren't creating in the first place. And so that's never a good idea to restrict creators, especially ones like Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. I don't think Lucasfilm should be totally out of the picture. And I don't think that's really what he's saying here. I think he's saying that there's executives that are breathing down his neck and making creative decisions that he doesn't agree with. And one of those people that I have a feeling is dipping their hands into it is Kathleen Kennedy. And I talked about this in a previous video, how Bob Chapek said, hey, she's going to be with Lucasfilm for years to come. And that was a big kick in the gut for, I think, a lot of Star Wars fans, because we want her to step aside. We don't want her involved in the Star Wars universe. She's already made bad decisions as it is. She knows nothing about Star Wars. We can see that. I mean, when was the last time you ever saw her have a deep conversation like Dave Filoni's had regarding Star Wars? We've never seen it. Now, that's not to say she can't still be the head of Lucasfilm, be involved in other projects, because she has done great things as a producer there, but she should not be hands-on in regards to the Star Wars universe. And I think Dave Filoni is making a connection there to saying, hey, look, there's people that are having involvement in these projects that shouldn't. You should give the creator creative freedom, step away, and if you do so, you'll probably have a lot more success within the Star Wars universe, rather than having certain stories kind of be diminished or underrepresented by these executives, because they're constantly trying to push the whole idea of merchandise, or maybe taking a storyline or adding something in the story that they can ultimately profit off of, whether that's making a ride at a theme park, or again, kind of making a stuffed animal or some sort of action figure out of it. But I agree with Dave Filoni here and Jon Favreau in regards to having Lucasfilm and the executives kind of just stand off, give them free reign, let them do their thing. And I think Star Wars is going to be better for it. And with that being said, today was a short news day, but I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, share this video with your friends and family, and I'll see you next time here on The Bald Brad Show.